All right, we are back here. Our feature matches are wrapped up, but we're here for our first con match. So fun little side quest we got going for our league here is the con matches, and we got James M, who's a relative new player in our league, up against Caleb G, and this is the Temur con match. That's it's my own clan, so we're gonna see who's gonna be the leader. What's going on in at Caleb's hand over there? Looks like he took a mulligan.
Back the one lander for 4 land, now 5, Defiant Strike, and a Master of Pearls. And I'm always curious if I'm going to see people play that face up as the 2/2, or say I want to get a lot of value off of this later on.
I think it depends on the state of the game.
Yeah, and he drew a Jeskai student just in time for turn 2, so that certainly incentivizes playing that one first.
Yeah, he can defer the decision here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Caleb is one of our most decorated players, 12 top eights, which is tied for first. And always expecting to see him in the top half of the standings, but he's gone off to a bit of a slow start this league. So we'll see what James is able to do here. And he's going to have a very nice play here with the attack followed by a Mardu Heart Piercer. So also in hand, he has a High Spire Mantis. He has a Abzan Battle Priest. He has a Plains, and he has an Incremental Growth, which is a double green spell. So not sure if he's running a Naya deck here, not one of the supported wedges, but we'll see. We'll see what's going on here. Yeah, they both have 4 losses, so they should be on a mostly even playing field. But this he has drawn the forest. This incremental growth potentially in conjunction with the Abzan Battle Priest and Bonkin he has in play is going to give everything first strike lifelink and be very large.
I imagine that right now he's trying to work out what Caleb could have in his hand, and the answer is 3 land and a Defiant Strike.
Yeah.
So he is going to be able to get a 3/4 Jeskai student out of the Defiant Strike, but I think it means that he doesn't have a good attack.
Yeah, this is probably the type of deck where you do want Defiant Strike. Like, 1 mana for +1/+0, draw a card is very bad. 1 mana for +2/+1, draw a card is excellent. So it kind of, the cards vary in, the card varies in how good it is, because if you have it on a prowess creature, it is just a premium trick. Looks like he's just going to attack with the flyer here. No need to put his other creatures in jeopardy. He respects a handful of cards there and 3 different colors of mana, even if we know, I mean, aside from the Defiant Strike, there's not too much going on over there.
So he's just drawn an Ankle Shanker, which is quite a good card, but not one that helps with defense.
Yeah, it is a purely offensive card, right? Like it attacks. That's it. If you are not in the mode for, if you are not in the state of the game where an attacker is useful, you are looking at a 5 mana 2/2 that, I mean, yeah, it'll still get a clean attack in, but it's not having the effect on the board that you want it to. And nice draw here for James, the Hooded Hydra, which he could just cast that as a X equals what, 5? Yeah, so you could have a 5/5 lifelink first strike. Sounds good to me. So he is actually respecting. He is maybe reading a Defiant Strike as the possibility here, so only attacking with the Bonkin, because he realizes that it will not get through.
Yeah, the Jeskai student is. Yeah, the Jeskai student is just too small to trade or eat the Bondkin, even with the Defiant Strike.
All right, so rather than X equals 5, he looks like he's doing X equals 4, and then he's going to outlast. He's just going to have a monster turn here with the incremental growth, probably. I mean, if Caleb is not ready to concede this coming turn, the incremental growth will do the trick, most likely here.
Caleb's got another trick back, a Feat of Resistance, but I'm still not sure if that's enough.
Yeah, everything having first strike and lifelink is just going to be devastating. You could just dump a bunch of counters on the flyer. I mean, I guess he still has to, consider there could be a kill shot or something like that. But with the size of his creatures, there's just not that much that can go wrong. Like, even if he gets blown out and he loses his first strike giver, the Bankin, like, his creatures are all just larger. Yeah, that's, as I predicted, that was probably going to do the trick.
Yeah.
So interesting Naya colors here. Yeah, he's going to off menu here with his Naya deck. He has 4 Arrow Storms. That could explain some of his early success here in the league. High Sentinels of Arishin, and the green cards seem to just be like there to make playables, more or less. Like, he has a bunch of green morphs, including the Hydra. Uh, yeah, the heart of his deck is red white. He has a couple Hooting Mandrills that have become immense, but the heart of his deck is really a red white strategy. What's Caleb looking at over
Caleb, it's straight Mardu. He's got plenty of the good amount of dual lands. I think enough come into play tap lands that you can get your colors, and not so many that everything is going to be coming into play tapped. And yeah, he's got just he hit submit again without really doing any sideboarding. Just looked at his options for a moment and then said, "Yeah, I'm good with the game one configuration." So he didn't get that much in, but he's got 2 of the +1/+0, and or the 2 of the +1/+0 and draw a card. So he does have some of those tricks. His hand here, he's got all 3 colors of mana, 5 lands total. We're looking at Watcher of the Roost as a turn 3 morph, followed by Abzan Battle Priest,
Okay.
if nothing changes. And he's got a Crater's Claws back,
Okay.
which is just an awesome card.
Yeah, we got a Sage Eye Harrier and a High Spire Mantis in hand here as far as creatures. Tormenting Voice, Incremental Growth, and 2 Arrow Storms. So we saw the power of Arrow Storm before. We may see it again. It's interesting. This is the first person I've seen just playing a 3 color combo that's not supported. Like, you see people playing 4 color and things like that, but I've yet to see somebody off menu here with a Naya deck. But looks like he's making it work. He went 4-1 in the first week. He's come back down a bit this week with a 5-4 record. He's 1-3. This will be his last match, but yeah, it's working, particularly with all, like, the +1 counter stuff with the triple. He has triple Einok Bonkin. He has the Falconer as well in his deck. I saw during sideboarding. He's run a Heart Piercer here, so it looks like he can just attack and kill off this Battle Priest.
Yeah, that Hearthpiercer's done great work in both games.
Yeah, it's just funny because we had in Neon Dynasty a couple years back a 2/3 that just dealt 2 damage when it came in, or you could discard it to deal 2 damage as well. Like, and like, this card you must attack in order to get the trigger, and it's still. I mean, in this set, it's just busted.
The new morph here is actually a Jeering Instigator.
Ooh, okay.
Which could be fun later on if it steals something neat. And Caleb also has, in addition to the Crater's Claws, he's drawn an Arrow Storm as well.
Okay.
So that could potentially be, like one more really good attack and then switch to burn.
Yeah, we may have arrows flying all over the place here. So during Instigator, when you first read it, you're like, wow, that's busted. You could steal a creature at any point, and then if you read the fine print, the during Instigator, it does need to be during your turn that you take a creature. I mean, he could put his opponent to 9 here and then just go for Arrow Storms.
Yep.
He could attack for 7, and then that's 2 Arrow Storms.
Arrow Storm, Crater's Claws, yeah.
Oh, Crater's Claws too. Yeah, jeez, okay. Yeah, James is not gonna be expecting that, but all right. So not too much that James can do here. I mean, he can attack his opponent back, but he needs to leave stuff up to block. And being an Arrow Storm aficionado over here with 2 in his hand, he probably has to think about 1 on the opponent's side as well. You never want to get down to 5 against red decks. That's something that you learn from experience in this format.
What's the morph on James's side again?
Oh, it was the. Jeez, why am I forgetting now? It's the 1/5 flyer.
The Sage Eye Harrier. Yeah. Ooh.
All right. Well, he just says, well, maybe I can race. But I mean, he has to also be thinking that there's an arrow storm potentially. No, he says, if you got it, you got it. I got you next turn. So, all right. So, well, this game's gonna end how a lot of games end. A player at 5 and another player casts this card, and off we go. Yeah. So
Very aggressive on James's part.
he could have played around that pretty safely. At least given made Caleb make a choice of what he wanted to do with his attacks there. I feel like with the two Arrow Storms in hand, I mean, like, he didn't have to put his opponent to 5. He could have put him, he would still have attacks the next turn and then be able to Arrow Storm for the 5. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, Arrow Storm's a pretty big card to play around in this format. I think anybody who is new to the format figured that out pretty quick.
Yep.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, we don't get that at common. We don't get 5 damage to player, or even 4 damage, really.
Caleb swapped in a Sidisi's pet, the lifelinking morph,
Yeah.
but he doesn't have it here. What he's got is we've got Windscarred Crag and Swamp, so only 2 land, but gives him all 3 colors of mana. Enoch Bondkin and Warname Aspirant. And then up to the more expensive stuff, he does have Crater's Claws and Arrowstorm in hand again, as well as Ankle Shanker.
Yeah, we're unfortunately going to 5 here. He started with 2 mountains
Ooh.
and no castables, and then saw 1 lander on the next hand. So not too much choice. It's not like he made an agonizing choice and chose wrong. It was just the shuffler said no thanks to to him having a good hand. So left in hand here, he does have a Summit Prowler, Sagu Archer, Abzan Falconer, and a Mountain. And he did draw planes here, so he will actually be able to play Falconer into Summit Prowler. So he'll at least have some board presence here, despite the fact that he is down on cards by a significant margin.
That Abzan Falconer is actually going to prove very annoying because Caleb really wanted to attack and drop the Warname Aspirant as a 3/2, and it gets a lot worse when Bondkin would just be throwing away in order to make the Aspirant a 3/2. So yeah, he's drawn a Tormenting Voice and a Briber's Purse.
Briber's Purse. That's one you don't see too often.
Yeah, I mean, it's useful sometimes if you just need to, delay things for a couple of turns. But
yeah, it's like a bad Icy Manipulator, right? It's
yeah,
like quite a bad one. That is, Icy Manipulator is very insulted by that comparison, I think. So he has an option here, James does. He could play as Morph, or he can play a Summit Prowler. The Morph will allow him to Outlast, which is what he's doing. And the Sagu Archer that he plays, once he flips it up, it'll be annoying. The Bonkin will need two more Outlast to get through that once it's flipped up. So James doing about as good a job as he can to make up for the mulligans here. A premium 3-drop goes a long way here, as we see. What are Caleb's options here? Digging for lands, I guess.
yeah. So he needed to do that in order to make his land drop, the Tormenting Voice. But now he's done that, so that's got the Warname Aspirant out. He's also got a Seeker of the Way as a possibility for next turn, and with Crater's Claws and Arrowstorm, then that would let him follow up with a with both damage to the face and some lifelink. If he gets a land, though, he's also now only 1 land away from Ankle Shanker, at which point that could end things real fast.
Well, Ankle Shanker's 5, right? So
Yeah.
be able to play that. So James, not really. Okay, maybe interested in blocking. We'll see. Nah. I mean, Caleb's not blocking this, so it's guaranteed damage, and he'll presumably play a 4/3 here. Not looking great against the first strikers here on the other side. Normally, Summer Prowler comes down and he's pretty burly and able to tussle with most things. He's able to tussle with a lot of the morphs even after you've paid 5, but not these little 2-drops that have first strike.
Caleb's draw is continuing to not give him land, though. Instead, he drew a Jeskai student, which normally would be good to have a couple of 2-drops, but both of his 2-drops cost white. So he's taking a moment and considering his options here.
Yeah, a bit of an awkward situation, but one thing Kayla has proved is that he almost always comes to the right decision. From watching him play, he's played in more of our weekly feature matches than anybody, and has way more wins than anybody in those also. So, getting inside his head, he finds the path of least mistakes is what I've found. So this is the moment when you really have to figure out how to approach it when your plays are not straightforward, when your options are limited, and you need to line up potentially what comes next. Also, like, what happens if I draw a land next, or what happens if I don't draw a land. It all goes into the decision making here, which is where I'm confident that he'll figure out what to do.
Some stuff and give me a hint. But he's just debating here. Personally, I think I'd do something like Seeker of the Way and Briber's Purse on 2. I mean, the way this game's looking, it kind of feels like more than 2 on the Briber's Purse isn't going to be needed.
So
But
Briber's Purse, you have to pay what? You have to pay 1 in order to activate it?
1 and tap to activate.
And it's a creature can't attack or block, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can use it offensively, defensively. Right, we got an Enoch Bondkin here off the top, which he can cast. So you can go Bondkin and then play his other morph, which is a Woolly Loxodon, which he's 1 mana away from flipping. So, the first strike creatures are going to stop the ground attacks, but with Falconer and Bondkin, he's going to have potentially 2 flyers here.
Second one's going to be a while, though.
Yeah, for sure. Normally incremental. I mean, he doesn't have it in hand, but we saw it in the other game. Normally, incremental growth is a card. I always found hard to use, but when you have triple Bondkin, Falconer, and the Lifelink Granter, that card just feels like a bomb in some board states. Feels like it just wins the game outright in a lot of board states, actually, when you have the Lifelink and the Flying and the first strike. So pretty good. So here's a land, but it's tapped, as almost always happens. You're screwed for so many turns, and then you finally get your land, and it's tapped.
Yeah, so no Ankle Shanker or Arrow Storm this turn. If he wants to trigger Prowess with the Seeker, he's going to need a Crater's Claws, and it looks like that's what he is going to be doing.
So he's going to take out the Summit Prowler or the Bondkin, I guess. He doesn't have enough mana to take out the Falconer, unfortunately.
No.
If he had a 4-power creature, he would, but he doesn't. So he's going after morph number 1 there. So we see our friend the Sagu Archer hit the bin. He's going to go in for that lifelink kit. I could see a block here.
Like, James is going to want to trade something off for the Seeker. I don't know if that's...
He could also try and trade for the
And there really has to be the Summit Prowler.
He could try and trade for the Bondkin, too. It's really annoying.
Yeah, that's a 2-for-1, though, isn't it?
No, it doesn't have double strike, right?
No. Yeah.
He would just have to double block the Summit Prowler and the 2/2 and lose, presumably, the Summit Prowler. But get the first strike off the board. That first strike is stopping a lot of things, especially if there's instant speed ways to get counters, like, Feat of Resistance or whatnot. Yeah, so Caleb did have to play a bit of his, what what my friend Spaghetti Mitch calls face damage there with the Crater's Claw. I had to use it on a creature. But he needed to make some inroads on this board. So yeah, James, mulligan to 5, but got some draws to make his hand functional, and Caleb stumbled a bit on mana, and we have ourselves a game here. So what does Caleb have left in hand? He has a Jeskai student and Arrow Storm, right?
Student, and Arrow Storm, and the Ankle Shanker.
Oh, right. Okay, so he says, Abzan Falconer, take a seat.
Yeah.
So he has no
I
attacks
would
here.
have. Yeah, I would have also been a little afraid of that morph in Caleb's seat because it has not been out for very long. But
Yeah, so it's in his colors. It's about the only morph he can't flip up, which is the woolly Loxodon. So that's why he didn't attack with it.
uh, Murderous Cut was the
Okay.
draw here. There's 4 cards in the graveyard, so he can play it for only 1 mana, but
Yeah,
that still means he can't play it and either of his 5 drops at the same time.
yeah, it's a bit awkward again. Um, I mean, Murderous Cut, it would have to go after the Falconer. I would have to think.
Wondering if life totals are still high enough if you just get Ankle Shanker out and start dealing a bit more damage.
Yeah, it's
That
8 damage versus more than that on the way back, 11. But
yeah,
with that Arrow Storm, that can make the difference. Okay, he's gonna go for the Just Guy Student and I guess a Murderous Cut and maybe a Briber's Purse activation. So Plains here is actually a pretty okay draw because it gives him access to the 6/7 here. So one thing I have to consider if Caleb is trying to track what that morph is because he did not attack with it last turn um, on 5, but I guess he could have also just come to the conclusion that James wanted to play as Mandrills. So usually this is going to work out. First strike on blocks. This is why they don't really put a lot of first strike in limited anymore.
Murderous Cut's going to save him from being
Yeah,
absolutely ruined here, but uh, still going to leave things.
yeah. So they've gone into they've made the design decision in recent years to if they're going to put first strike on like a 2 or 3 drop at common, it's going to be only when it's attacking because you don't want to just pile up a board with first strikers and then your opponent can never attack you. Like a 6/6 can't attack into 3 first strikers. It's just stalls the game out, and then the first strikers can't attack into the 6/6. So it creates board stalls. So the recent design they've moved away from putting first strike on creatures, particularly commons. They just they do it while they're attacking. So basically, you attack with it, you get your first strike, but you can't just gang block things.
Here is considering, yeah, and he's pulling the trigger on Aerostorm on the Hooting Mandrills.
There's a big attack
Uh,
here.
yep, and then he's got next turn the Ankle
Ankle shank.
Shanker and maybe even Briber's Purse as well. Uh, so he's just said, you know what, I think I'm ahead here, and I'm gonna push through while I can.
Yeah, so James is probably pretty happy about this kill shot because it can kill particularly the Bondkin, which removes first strike from the other creature. But with Ankle Shanker, it's going to be a bit more difficult here. So Ankle Shanker, it gets its effect when it attacks. So even if you kill shot it in response, the other creatures will still get that ability. So this is going to be rough. And with the Outlast here, it looks like he's just going to be dead, right?
No, I
Yeah,
mean he's got. Oh yeah, with Briber's Purse, yes, he is just gonna be
yeah.
dead.
Even without Briber's Purse, right? Uh, no, without Briber's
Uh,
Purse, he'd be fine. But yeah, so Briber's Purse, that actually, I mean now, yeah. So we see Caleb is going to be defending his con status. So our fearless leader has walked into the world of the bear fight, and he has emerged as the last bear standing here. So congratulations to Caleb once again, getting his power up from being on a recorded match here, and he retains his conship. So congratulations to Caleb, and we'll see everybody hopefully for some more con matches this week.